As the crisis around the world deepens, we can see the complete and total collapse of the media narrative happening faster and faster. You see, throughout the month of February, the media kept saying things like, the flu is way worse, ignore it. Donald Trump, at the end of January, launched his task force, blocked travel from China, and the media called him racist. Now here we are, and they're still saying he isn't doing enough, but I gotta love this next story. So do you. You gotta love it. Arizona man dies after ingesting substance touted by President Trump. You see, because the news is moving so quickly, the media can't keep up with their flip on the narrative. What they like to do is the media will say something like, the sky is blue. And then Trump will give a press conference and he'll be like, I heard something tremendous. The sky is blue. It's beautiful. Biggest, beautiful sky. And then everyone will start saying the sky's not actually blue. It's actually black and it's rain particles. It's water moisture. Trump is so dumb. The media will say something. Trump will repeat it a week later and then they'll flip a 180. But because Trump's been giving basically daily press conferences, they're flipping so fast, it's becoming insanely obvious. First, let's just take a look at this absolutely psychotic story, which is 100% fake news. Now, did a man actually die? Yes. Did he ingest something touted by President Trump? No. The guy apparently drank or ate some kind of fish cleaner. I mean, this is going viral on Twitter. Apparently, the dude and his wife thought it would be appropriate to eat fish tank cleaner because it has a similar word in it to a word that Trump said. That makes no sense. Never, at any point in time, did the president go on TV and say, fish cleaner is really good. You should eat fish cleaner. He never said. Let's read the story. You're going to love this one because I'm going to rip this one apart. So this is KTAR News. Now, there are many different outlets who have pushed this lie, and I've got one correction post. I'll show you in a second. They say hospital officials are warning against home remedies for COVID-19 after a Metro Phoenix man died and his wife was hospitalized when they ingested a chemical touted by President Trump as a possible coronavirus treatment. That is an absurd lie. Trump never said chloroquine phosphate. Man, you know what, man? During a press conference last week, and again Monday, Trump mentioned that chloroquine, a drug long used to prevent malaria, had shown the potential to combat COVID-19. The substance, also known as chloroquine phosphate, hasn't gone through rigorous scientific testing as a coronavirus treatment. Chloroquine and a similar drug, hydroxychloroquine, showed encouraging signs in small early tests against the coronavirus. But the drugs have major side effects. One reason scientists don't want to give them without evidence of their value, even in this emergency. Okay, hold on. Trump did say we're seeing promise with chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. He recently tweeted, hydroxychloroquine combined with azithromycin, an antibiotic, has shown to reduce the longevity or the symptoms of COVID-19. Trump was referring to widespread media reports. Trump did not create this idea, nor did he ever, at any point, mention eating fish tank cleaner. And I'm going to show you this is hilarious stuff. In a different form, they say, chloroquine phosphate is sold as an additive to deal with infections and algae in fish tanks. Dr. Daniel Brooks, Banner Poison and Drug Information Center medical director, told KTAR News, the aquarium form and medical form are the same chemical structure. Oh, thanks for clarifying that for us. You know what? If people go out now and start ingesting fish cleaner, it's because you just told them all it was the same. The Valley couple, both in their 60s, were concerned about symptoms and reportedly saw information online suggesting aquarium products could be used to combat coronavirus, which is absolutely wrong and unfortunately potentially dangerous. He added that it appears the couple ingested the equivalent of several days worth of the compound as it would have been prescribed as medicine. There's so much wrong with this. Not only did they get the bunk information from the internet, not from the president, they guzzled it down. He says they felt sick within 30 minutes. The man died shortly after arriving at an emergency room. The woman was resuscitated and is being cared for at a Phoenix Banner hospital. Before taking the product, they had not been tested. Brooks said the only patients who should take any kind of prescription medication are those diagnosed with the illness and requiring treatment in an intensive care unit. This is one of the things the media has also done. When Trump mentioned hydroxychloroquine, a bunch of people started tweeting, please, people, do not take this drug. It has got to be administered. Then we saw a news story saying simply 2 grams, could kill you. Some other outlets were like, a dangerous drug that's linked to heart arrhythmia. Dude, did you know that most drugs, there's a reason they're called prescription. A prescript. A doctor has to write you a script so you can go and buy it. Just because Trump is saying, hey, there's some studies, and he didn't even make it up. TechCrunch and many other outlets had reported the exact same thing. This is what's so fascinating. Trump will see a story in the news, and then he'll say, look at that, azithromycin, so good, the best cure, we're looking for it. And then all of a sudden the media's screaming at him. I tweeted about this, but you're going to love, let's read a little bit more so you get the context. And let me show you this glorious takedown. Experts say anybody experiencing symptoms who are concerned they're infected should reach out to a healthcare professional for guidance. Already approved drugs are tempting for doctors to use off-label, but formal studies are needed to see if they truly work for a new purpose or disease, said Dr. Ross McKinney Jr. Chloroquine may look promising in a test tube, but, quote, I'm skeptical it will be effective in patients, he said last week in a call with reporters. The first thing I want to do is I want to give you an example of how insane this story is. Did you know that your food has sodium in it? Yeah, many of you probably already know where I'm going. Imagine if Trump came out and said, too many of our good people don't get enough sodium in their diets, and they're hyponatremic. I think that's the word. And so some people went out and bought raw metallic sodium and put it in their mouths. You know what happens when you put raw, like legit or like pure sodium in water? Yeah, it bursts into flames or explodes. So I actually pulled this up. Check it out. Hyponatremia. The extreme loss of sodium can trigger symptoms ranging from muscle cramps, nausea, vomiting, and dizziness to shock, coma, and death. Listen, when we eat food, on the back of the food, I just had a bag of chips. It said sodium on the back. It's very, very different from metallic sodium you could buy, which apparently, they say when you Google it, pure sodium react to saliva is what I Google searched. As soon as the sodium touches the insides of the mouth, it will start reacting violently with the water. The result will be burns to the mouth, both from the heat and from the sodium hydroxide produced. Sodium reacts violently with water. If someone is stupid enough to put an alkali metal in their mouth, then, why is that anyone's fault? They sell lithium tablets, right? Like people take lithium. Do you know what happens when you take like lithium metal and put water on it? It bursts into flames. It rapidly oxidizes as an exothermic reaction. So just because people, where are all the stories about morons eating lithium metal and then barfing because their mouth is on fire? The president never told anyone to ingest fish cleaner. Excuse me. But you know who did? Well, I bring you now to a tweet from, it's Amber Athey, the Washington editor for The Spectator US. The media conflated prescribed anti-malaria medication with a fish tank treatment and then tried to blame Trump for the idiots who started purchasing and or ingesting it. Here's the Daily Mail. Fish tank treatment uses the same chemical in the drug Trump claims could be a game changer for treating coronavirus, despite zero proof, and prices for it have surged to $500. Chloroquine phosphate is used to treat fish tanks. It is a different form of the chemical hydroxychloroquine, a malaria drug. The Daily Mail on, March 20th, said fish tank treatment. Remember what the first story said? The woman didn't say necessarily, because apparently she's quoted as saying Trump was talking about it. She went online and found bunk information about eating fish tank cleaner. Well, there's more. The New York Post, sales of fish tank additives skyrocket after studies say it could treat coronavirus. What? When did any study come out saying people were ingesting fish tank cleaner and it was curing? Never happened. And this is funny because this is the Daily Mail and the New York Post. These are sources I often use. Now we have this. Heidi NBC. Her husband is dead and she's in the ICU after ingesting chloroquine. Quote, we saw Trump on TV, every channel, and all of his buddies, and that this was safe. Trump kept saying it was basically pretty much a cure. She implored Vaughn Hilliard, educate the people. Trump never... I'm going to say it again. Trump never said to drink fish tank cleaner. These people are absolutely insane. Could you imagine if someone was like, they mentioned you need to put chlorine in your pool, so they dumped several gallons of Clorox bleach in their pool and then wondered why their eyes and skin were burning and people were passing out? Here's Axios. Here's what Axios originally tweeted. A man has died after ingesting chloroquine phosphate, one of the anti-malaria drugs that Trump has mentioned in recent days. They then said, We have deleted this tweet and corrected our story because it did not reflect the full nature of the self-medication done with an additive commonly used to clean fish tanks. I know it may seem like a silly story, but what you have to understand is that I deal with this kind of stuff all day, every day. If someone came to you and said, someone ingested fish tank cleaner and the media is blaming Trump, you can immediately see what's wrong with the media. You're going to be like, that's insane. Like, Trump would never say that. That makes no sense. But what about a story where it's like, bomb blast in Middle Eastern country? You can only assume they're telling the truth. And then it turns out that many of these stories are just as fake. The only reason they're correcting these stories now is because it's so absurd people are catching it. Which brings me back to my first point, that the news cycle today is so rapid and insane that people are putting out psychotic stories that get eaten up by people, that normally do. Normally, this stuff happens all the time. Like if you look back a month, like I mentioned, all of these news outlets were saying the flu was worse. Now we can easily look back and say, wow, look what they said. Typically, it's like 6 months later. They'll change the story or flip the narrative and then argue, oh, our opinions change or something like that. Well, here we go again. Daily Mail reports Donald Trump touts chloroquine as a coronavirus cure again at White House briefing despite man dying in Arizona from self-medicating, and Dr. Tony Fauci is absent from the dais. From the dais? Okay. Never, you know what? Trump is talking about a legitimate study that was in the media. TechCrunch reported, I've covered it. It was a French study. It was preliminary. It was a small sample size. It may be a blip, but they administered hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin combined. There have been other countries that are exploring this. And more importantly, why isn't the media narrative that man drinks fish tank cleaner after media runs report on chloroquine? Why isn't the story man dies after ingesting chemical touted by Andrew Cuomo of New York City? You see, they go after Trump when he points this out. They go after him again, even the Daily Mail. But we just had Governor Cuomo and everybody calling him, hashtag President Cuomo. He was saying the exact same thing. He's saying we're gonna move forward on these studies with hydroxychloroquine. It's not his fault, is it? Even though when Joe Biden came out on his stupid live stream that he muttered and mumbled, the networks ran Cuomo instead. Is it the media's fault? The media is the one that propped up every single individual who said this. But of course, once again, it falls onto the shoulders of Trump just because, guess what? The orange man must be bad, period. I don't know if you saw that interaction between, I think that guy's name is Peter Alexander, and how the media cut it out of context. That's their MO. They did it. Remember that thing Trump did with Shinzo Abe? I think it was Shinzo Abe of Japan. They were feeding koi fish. And then Shinzo Abe pours his food, or he like tosses all of the food into the pond. So Trump shrugs and then pours his out as well. The cameraman for ABC zooms in on Trump, so you only see him do it. And then the media ran this big, huge story about how Trump was making a fool of himself. And then when the real footage got released, you saw that Trump was just doing what the Prime Minister of Japan was doing. It's really difficult to understand what's happening in this country when you have a media desperately trying to lie to you all day, every day. I deal with this all the time. And I want to end with one final thought. I said this the other day, and I love it. Remember that toilet girl? She's the coronavirus challenge. She licked the toilet. Yeah, I call her toilet girl. She was doing that for attention. She wanted to get clicks. She wanted to get likes. Never forget that these stories, posts on Twitter, they're the equivalent of licking a toilet seat for attention. It's not real. It's ridiculous. It's gross. It's bad for everybody. This girl's probably going to spread some kind of sickness, not realizing E. coli exists. She's like, I'm not going to get coronavirus. Yeah, well, you licked a toilet, dude. That's gross. You deserve whatever comes your way if you do that. But the problem is we're being inundated by a media that does this all the time. Many of you could see through how absurd this story is. Now, I want you to think about every other story and what you might not know about it. And you can't just assume they're all true. And that's a dangerous precedent for us. There was research done recently that found the least trusted group of individuals to inform anyone about the coronavirus pandemic are journalists. That was from Edelman Research. But I'll leave it there. I just want to, I'll go back to Amber's tweets just to make sure you see. It was various media outlets that were talking about drinking fish cleaner. And in the first part, and in the story, the woman says, we went online and found information suggesting they could do this. It was not Trump. I'll see you all at 4 p.m. on the main channel, youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out.